I just realized that I think I've only ever said your full name once, and I said it very quickly.
Okay.
So I am going to breathe in the spirit of my motherland.
Inhaler.
Ayodele.
We are cooking on gas. Boom.
I'd like
That's
to introduce.
How
I'd like to introduce Ayodele to the podcast today. We are blessed with a goddess of mindset magic. You do NLP, right?
I do.
We do some NLP stuff.
Yeah.
Do we do hypnosis stuff also?
I do hypnotherapy. Hypnosis is the channel by which you use hypnotherapy to assist somebody in making fundamental changes at the unconscious level. So hypnosis is kind of the tool, and hypnotherapy is the process, I guess you could call it. So yeah, both NLP and hypnotherapy, hypnosis.
Okay, so we've got hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, which is abbreviated as NLPZ. Y'all hear me, right? Okay. What else do you have in your delicious toolbox of stuff that I can
Oh my
add
gosh,
to
where do I even start? Timeline therapy.
Timeline therapy, which is groovy. I want some of that.
Just incredible stuff. And also just loads of, I bring like so much background stuff. Like I worked in psychiatric care for 4 years.
Wow.
Like sociology, psychology background. So, and then spirituality, like I was raised with very, very spiritual principles and ideologies and core beliefs and core values. So I've always been, I was kind of raised woke. And
got you.
I was
Okay,
raised
so
from,
you were blessed like that.
Okay. Yes. So one of the lucky ones. I was, kind of spirituality is not a new principle or new concept to me. It's just a way of being. Yesterday, when I was thinking about coming on the podcast, I was like, there literally is not another human being on this planet that I would rather have this conversation with. And I'm not joking. Because I listen to you, I listen to the stuff that you share, I listen to the words that you speak, I listen to your spiritual values and your vibe and your energy that you bring to the world. And to have the ability to have a conversation of the level and nature that I know that this is going to evolve into. No pressure, no expectations, but I just know it's going to be an incredible conversation because you're so open, you're so connected spiritually. You have these understandings about 5D universe and about quantum understandings about the way that the universe works, and to be able to have a conversation of that nature with somebody, for me, is a privilege. So I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity, not just to be on, not to be on your podcast, but just to be in front of you and have that conversation with somebody who is of such an elevated nature, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, is a real privilege. So I just want to say thank you. Just take a moment to just be grateful for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been a bit weepy.
Don't do that.
Those of you who are listening, I am a little bit weepy.
No, it's okay. Tears are welcome. Tears are welcome. Any kind of tears are welcome here. So,
I found that people get a bit too caught up in trying to control the unconscious processes, but not without engagement in the unconscious. So they're here consciously. They're like, oh, I'm going to suppress this. I'm going to change this, rather than just having a communication, like a dialogue with that part of the mind, which is a lot of what your work is. It's allowing us to have that dialogue with the unconscious in a language that it actually understands, versus
absolutely.
Let's just have a conversation.
But I think that the point that could be made there is that people don't, number one, have an awareness that there is necessarily this entity that you can have a conversation with, that through having that conversation would make such a fundamental impact on the way you feel, which has an impact on your behavior, which has an impact on the outcomes that you achieve. So if more people were taught, like, I think that the stuff that I teach, the stuff that I learn and that I know, I think that it should be taught in schools. I think that children should be taught this from a very, very young age, how to communicate with their unconscious mind. The part of them that is literally running the show, it runs between 95 and 97% of the human functioning. So why are we not taught this stuff? Why do we not know that we can have a conversation? Why do we not know, why are we not taught how to communicate with that part of us that's actually going to help us get the results, that the difference that makes the difference? It's like, you know, why are children not taught that? And so the point that I'm making is that people don't necessarily, like, we take what we know. Sometimes I take what I know for granted sometimes. I think, you know, it's like, everybody should know this, but they don't. Not everybody knows that how to communicate with their unconscious mind. Not everybody knows when they're being nudged or when they hear a certain voice, and it's okay to hear voice in our mind, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a normal part.
It depends what it's telling you, right?
Yeah.
Get naked now.
Yeah, do it. But I think it's important to educate people to have an awareness that they can have that level of conversation with themselves to get the outcome.
I've found that one thing that's really helped me to consistently keep just offering to support people with that little bit of education is not having this overstated importance of how much I have to do and not underestimating what I can do. So I may only be able to speak, even if I speak to one person a day, for example.
Yeah.
Like, some people say, oh, how's that going to make a difference? There are billions of people in the world. Yeah, but if I speak to one person a day, that's 365 people that I can connect with in a year. If they each go out and connect with just one person, and they each go out and just connect with one person, if they connect with that one person who's in a classroom that's going to impact young minds, if they're going to write an article that's going to hit 100 people or it's going to hit 20 people.
Like, it's the fact that people say that they want change. But are they prepared to do what it takes to change? Are they really prepared to do what it takes to change? And it's so interesting that you've touched on this, because I literally just wrote a newsletter that's going out to my email list later on today, mentioning this point. And you know, people come to you and they want advice and they want to know how they can make their life better, and you give them the advice, and it's on them to go away and do something about it. It's on them to do, you know, to take action. But are they willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to make this happen? And I recorded and published a video on my YouTube channel that I put out last night, and I talked about that I did a detox for 2 years when I was at the quite at the beginning of my journey into well-being and personal discovery. And people have had some feedback there. People are like, 2 years, you actually did a detox. I was like, yeah, because I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. Are people prepared to do whatever it takes to actually take action on what, you know, the advice that you're giving them? And
follow through.
Not everybody is.
There's something sexy about, you know, doing the latest, I don't know, craze for a week or whatever, or to do the what do they call it, the ice challenge? Yeah, I'm on video, I'm gonna do this, blah blah blah.
Ice bucket challenge.
Ice bucket challenge, or whatever it was.
Did you do it?
Actually, do you know what? I actually had an Insta war, not Insta war, like an Insta spat with someone. Someone challenged me, like, and I was like, I'm not doing it. He said, oh, don't you care? I said, actually, so you're going to raise awareness about this. I'm actually in the trenches. Like, I've got a foundation that actually goes out and builds schools and actually gives money and actually educates. Like, I support the education of poor people. Like, I feed starving people. I don't go over Instagram talking about it. It's something I do quietly, but it's going to do more than your ice bucket. So I'm not really sure I support just pouring some ice on your head. I don't really, it's raising awareness, but I'm not really sure what it actually did.
I think it just got people a lot of likes and probably a lot of follows and probably a lot of ego stroking more than it did. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and I apologise if I am. You know, if it raised awareness.
But you know, there are sexy surface things, like you said, that people are happy to do,
Mm-hmm.
but who, like you said, who is prepared to do that 2 years, right? Who's prepared to even do like 30 days to build a new habit, like consistently do something for 30 days? Who's prepared to show up in the morning and just make the choice to do something different in how they show up in their day, versus complaining about the fact that your finances haven't changed, or that your relationships are still whack-mundo, or that, you know, who's still addicted to being the person that's expressing themselves as the experience that they're continuing to say that they don't want anymore. Because addiction is real. Addiction to playing out the same patterns and having the same experience. And I actually spoke about this once in an article called the Lazy Choice. I think it's called the Lazy Choice. That sometimes we're better off just owning that we're not in a position to make that choice, and making that step into ownership, and making that step into consciously just accepting, okay, right now, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. That still gives some level of empowerment that will do more for you than pretending that you want to change, because it's just allowing the old programs, right, of non-change playing out, versus disrupting them by just putting them in the light.
Yeah, absolutely. But then I think it comes down to also the education side of things, and allowing people, or educating people on the tools that they can use to make those changes. For example, you touched on, you know, addiction is real. Addiction to our old programming is real. Addiction to our old habits and our old behaviors, because they're part of the way that our brain works. Our brains become addicted to the chemicals that are produced when a certain behavior interaction takes place. So that addiction is real, but it's educating people and teaching people that actually, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate where you are in this moment. Your reality is valid and valued. However, I want to enlighten you and show you that there is an alternative way. There is another way of being that you can access. Are you willing to step into a conversation with me and have a conversation about how doing X, Y, and Z is going to assist you in breaking those patterns, rewiring the way that your brain works, and creating new patterns and new programs that you could download into your brain to make you function in a different way, that's going to assist you in getting a better outcome and assist you in getting and achieving the results that you actually want. People, I don't know whether people are afraid of changing. I think some people are actually afraid to change, because they're so addicted again to the pain, the dysfunction, that they don't know who they'll be without it. And that can be incredibly, incredibly frightening to do. You know, I can speak from personal experience that to change the way that you've been for the majority of your life and to embark on a different way of being is frightening, because it pushes you out of your comfort zone.
And I think, like you said, when the identity is wrapped up in that comfort zone and in the behavioral patterns that lead to that level of comfort, the danger is that the mind could be so caught up in that identity, so caught up in that victim mentality, so caught up in that stress. For me, it was stress. So caught up in that egoic need to be validated by things outside of yourself, that if you do move too drastically into trying to elicit change, even if you do truly want it, you can end up hitting that brick wall of self-sabotage, that brick wall of procrastination, that brick wall of what do they call it? Backsliding into old behavioral patterns, because you just don't hold it. Because the mind doesn't lose. And this is something I say all the time, like the mind does not lose. It just moves too quickly. We're talking about 10,000 to 10 million times the speed of the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is moving at. It's ridiculously quick. So if you're trying to stay ahead, that's unlikely to happen. So again, it comes down to working with someone like yourself, understanding that language, so that instead of trying to run ahead of it, you can just basically have that conversation that it's safe. This is what we're doing differently now. Let's run together, versus I'm going to try and outrun you. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having that support is invaluable. Having somebody to give you that guidance and give you that safe space to make those changes in a way that is going to get you from where you are to where you want to be. in a
And to
way
stay
that you feel supported, in a way that you feel that your story is heard and valued. And sometimes we need our story to be validated.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we need, whether that's ego or, you know, whatever that is, maybe it's just that we need to be heard by another
Mm-hmm.
human being who can temporarily step into our pain with us and say, I understand, or I appreciate what you've been going through. And that is the way that you've been functioning. Let's talk about how you want to function, and let's talk about getting you to function in the way that you want to function so that you can have the life that you want. And having somebody to support you through that process versus doing it on your own is just, you know, there isn't a price that you can put on that. There's somebody who knows what they're talking about, somebody who knows what they're doing. And I think there is definitely something to be said for somebody who has been through significant amounts of either stress or pain themselves, because there's a level of empathy, there's a level of understanding, there's a level of awareness of knowing, you're never going to be able to understand what somebody else is going through from their perspective 100%, but you can step into their pain with them, and you can share that space and say, I appreciate what you've been through, I appreciate what you're going through. And without that historical understanding of that pain or that stress, it's just kind of words and ideology and theory. Whereas when you bring your own personal experience to the table and you can share that personal experience with the person that you're working with, I think it just adds a different element. It just adds another dimension to the conversation and to the transformation that takes place as well.
I think there's a level of authenticity that just is felt at like a soul level when the person knows what they're talking about versus, I mean, so for example, I've worked with people in all sorts of different situations, right? So I've now got secondhand experience of holding people's hand and their tails in different experiences. But there's going to be a difference when I'm talking about something that I've actually walked through myself. A difference that's just there energetically, maybe not even audibly palpable, but there's just this je ne sais quoi that you can't say, what is it? I don't know what it is, but I just dig what homeboy's saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually helped me in terms of having boundaries in the areas I will work and won't work.
Okay.
Not because I can't support people in certain situations.
Yeah.
But either I'll bring someone in to support, to run tandem if we're going through a certain situation, or I'll say, look, let's take a pause here. I want you to go and talk to this person, you know, sit with them for a period of time, and then we'll come back, we'll loop around and get into it. Because I think we can do someone a lot more service when we don't do them the disservice of not just having enough humility to allow other support to come in. I spend a lot on personal development. I spend a very, very healthy 5 figures annually on my personal development. Yeah. I'm looking to move into 6 figures on my personal development this year because of this a specific person that I want to work with. Now, I don't necessarily groove and jig with people that preach the gospel of personal development, but don't actually live and breathe it themselves. Is that judgment? Maybe a little bit. I'm going to be real. I find it a little bit. I don't really see that there's a level of integrity there. Or people who want to charge a certain ticket on on the service that they offer, but then aren't prepared to dip in, right? And I think the same thing comes in as someone that is of service to others. I think there's a level of integrity in having the humility to know that sometimes maybe I need some support in order to support you more fully.
100%. 100% agree. Literally, like I just made, like the other week I made a video about the importance of us as coaches, as leaders, as healers, as people doing this work that we're doing in the world, the importance of us also continuing our personal development journey. It's essential. Like for me, the journey will never end. And I said in the video, if I ever meet somebody and they tell me that they're done with personal development, with evolution, I'm going to call you out and out. You're a liar. Like you
got so excited.
I'm going to call a spade a spade.
I'm going to call you.
You're a liar. I'm going to call you out. No shade, but you're a liar. Because we're never done. Look, we are never done. We're never done. It's never over. The journey is the experience of life. Mm-hmm. And for somebody to tell me that they have reached the ultimate, I mean, okay, I could be wrong, and I'm okay. I'm open to being wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't think I am. I think that, it's the journey. And I think that on that journey, like, I always have somebody, either a mentor, a coach, somebody who is supporting me, sometimes more than one person who's supporting me. I have no shame in admitting that, because I think it is essential to my growth as an individual, to my evolution of consciousness, to my evolution as a human being. But it's essential for me to be able to assist my clients in being able to reach those higher and higher planes of evolution and satisfaction in their lives. Because it's really interesting, because you will also find that your clients will reflect back to you the areas where you need to grow. Right? Am I lying though?
You're not.
Right. It's the truth. They're mirrors. The people that you come into contact with in your life, whether they're your clients, when you have some form of intimate relationship with them, and I don't mean on a physical level, I'm talking about an emotionally intimate connection with somebody, they will be reflecting back to you some area that you need to work on. So that information that's coming into your neurology from your clients reflecting that stuff back to you, you have to take action on working on that. Because otherwise you're not only limiting yourself in your ability to evolve, you're limiting your clients, because you can only help and heal other people as deeply as you've healed and helped yourself.
Ooh. Give that one to them again.
One more time?
Yeah. One time.
For the people in the back. You can only help and heal other people as deeply as you have healed and helped yourself.
And that's just the law of vibration in action, in a very, very beautiful, very, very beautiful summation, is that we can only experience what we're a vibrational match to. I can only take you where I've been. So therefore, if I want to take you to a space of healing, I must have been to that space of healing myself. And if I'm in a space of denial and in a space of, I don't need it, I'm good. I've reached Nirvana. I live in Bali now.
I am enlightened. I am the Buddha.
I've done ayahuasca now. I know whatever. And I want to talk to you about that one, actually. So, yeah, I want to talk to you about that one. I want to share a story. Okay. But yeah, like, we have to be ready to be, and we have to be ready to be honest with ourselves about the level of work that we still have to do
100%.
in order to support people that still have work to do. Otherwise, that denial is going to show up in the mirrors of those around us. It's just going to show up. What I discovered when this hit home for me, from the law of vibration angle, not the angle you gave today, which is now my new Bible. Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Was that everything that's showing up for me? I think everything has the ability to be a mirror, a channel, a source of guidance. So I was listening to something I found on YouTube, some morning thing that I'm trying out for a week to see if it makes a difference. And as because I'm listening to it just like passively as I'm doing my journaling stuff in the morning. And as I was writing my intention, it was like, yeah, my intentions are pure. Like, that timing's synchronous. Thank you very much. But like, everything has the ability to teach, lead, and guide. And I realized, because I'm a believer in hologram theory. Don't remember the name of the dude that came up with it, but I found out a bit through Greg Braden's work that everything in my experience is a complete holographic mirroring of what's happening in my internal state. And so my work with alchemic life creation is basically expressing the agency, sovereignty, and dominion that we have over our internal state in order to then create from the inside out. So that's the work that I do with that. And so I practice that actively. So when someone comes into my world in any framework at all, through any avenue, I see it as the opportunity to heal. But when I'm working with clients, I'm not actually ever trying to heal the client or help the client. My initial thing, when I'm doing the onboarding call with the client, it's not even really to work out what's up with them. It's to see, okay, what's going on with you and how's that a mirror of what's going on inside of me? And then I start the inner work. So when I'm actually having sessions with clients, I'm actually just working with them as a mirror to work on what's going on in me that's showing up as them. And then through that, allowing it to shift and change from the inside out. So
that is just really beautiful. Really,
it's not always
really
beautiful. Trust me, sometimes it's really ugly, especially when I don't want to admit. I don't want that. That's not my shit. Is it really my shit? No, I got it wrong.
But what a beautiful way that the universe works. What an incredibly generous. Yeah, it doesn't always feel generous. It doesn't always feel great.
No,
but what a generous universe it is that we are constantly being given these opportunities to grow. And the thing is, are we willing to lean into that discomfort? Are we willing to lean into that growth? Because it's generally going to be uncomfortable. If it's, if there's a big lesson.
If it's real growth, it's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be a level of discomfort.
There's going to be generally a real level of discomfort. You're going to have to go through the growing pains to get to the other side. And it's whether or not you're willing to lean into that level of discomfort in order for you to experience that level of growth. And will it be uncomfortable? Absolutely, yes. But on the when you come out through that journey, when you navigate your way, ideally with the guidance of somebody who has that, who can give you that support to be there for you, and to give you some guidance on perhaps tools, techniques, things you can do. You may well have all of those things yourself. But as you said, you do invest a lot in your own personal development. So having somebody there to support you and guide you through those processes, what you get to on the other side of that discomfort, that's the gold. That's the gold. And then, then you reach your kind of another comfort zone for a very short amount of time, because then somebody will reflect something else back to you that is then another opportunity for you to work on and for you to grow. There's always an opportunity to grow.
It's that seasons though, and that's like, even as humans, when we have spurts of growth, we have times when everything recalibrates and settles in and adjusts before we have another period of growth. We're not just consistently growing from birth all the way to death, which is actually just when the cells stop reproducing and growing. So it's like, for everyone out there that's like, I'm in Bali now, I've had my ayahuasca, I'm enlightened. Like, let's look to nature. In nature, you're not growing, you're dying. So if you're not continuing to expand, I like that one too. If you're not continuing to expand and continue to grow, then you are dying. That is the definition of death. It's when growth ends. And that happens physically, it happens emotionally, it happens mentally, it happens spiritually, it happens energetically. So continuing to expand, continuing to grow is the only way to hold off that spiritual death, which you won't even necessarily witness yourself. And that's why it's important to have the mirrors of other people that you're ready to hold as mirrors, right? And to have that person who can catch your blind spots, who can hold you accountable and to give you that insight. Because I may have all the tools in the world and I can see all of this, but I can't see what's going on behind me. Absolutely. I need somebody to watch my foot, somebody to watch my back. There will be angles on things that I'm not going to catch. There'll be times when my humanity kicks in and maybe there's an egoic need to be right that holds me back from witnessing the truth of something. There'll be times when I don't really want to lean in. Let's be real. We don't always want to lean in. But having that person that's holding me accountable to, okay, dude, it's time to lean in. I don't want to. And that's when it matters most. That's when the leaning in matters most, when we don't want to. It's like being in the gym. It's those last two reps, those last couple of reps that you really don't want to do. It's that last exercise that's like, oh, I really don't want to do it. That's the one that matters most, because that's the one that's going to push you beyond the boundaries of who you are. If you're consistently feeling good, then, and I'm not saying that we should always feel crap and always feel stressed and always feel drained. That's not what I'm saying. We should enjoy the process of the discomfort. But if there is no stretching happening, there is no growth. If there's no growth, then you're at the point of death.
And there's something to be said for periods of rest.
Definitely. In
between, because you don't, like you said, you don't just want to be in a state of discomfort all the time. That's not fun.
I'm growing. It's great.
Yes, but I'm growing.
How are you doing today, Ayodele?
I'm growing. It hurts. It really hurts, but I'm growing. And it's great. you don't want to be in a state of discomfort all the time.
Yeah.
There is something to be said for, for periods of rest. But going back to something that you touched on just a moment ago, is that one of my first coaches said to me, you can't see the back of your head without 2 mirrors. So you need to be one of the mirrors, and then you have somebody else supporting you who's the other mirror that's reflecting back to you the stuff that's going on in your blind spots that you can't see. So it's essential to have that person that you can actually call on to reflect back to you the stuff that's behind you in your 360 that you can see all the way around. And also, taking moments to rest and recalibrate when it's time to is crucial. But this year has been an incredible year in terms of growth for me. Like it's been one of the most painful and one of the most challenging years. I think the last 2 years actually have been two of the most, and that is saying something because I've spent a lot of my life in pain and discomfort. So to say that the last 2 years have been incredible, but it's a good thing because I'm coming out the other side, and for everything I know for 100% that there's a reason. Every lesson that I've been sent, there's a reason and there's growth, and I wouldn't be in the position that I am in today if I hadn't have had to go through the experiences that I've been through. So I embrace the challenge, I embrace the discomfort, and as much as it causes pain, I know that on the other side of that is the blessing, and is the enlightenment, and is the aha moments, and just continual self-discovery and evolution. So I'm grateful to the universe for the challenge. So
that's lovely. I think there's a power in the embrace, right?
Yeah, there is.
My personal take on everything's working out for me is that, if you hold that intention, and if you're ready to step into everything working out for you, if you're ready to let go of being a victim, if you're ready to let go of the woe is me, then everything can be working out for you. Otherwise, everything's an opportunity for you to make the choice to allow everything to be working out for you, right?
Yeah.
But when you are able to look into the abyss that's before you, or even the one that you've just come out of, and say, do you know what? I'm ready to admit that at this level of consciousness, I can't see the whole picture. And there may be pieces of the puzzle being moved around here, at whether it's me at another level of consciousness, or whether your belief is that there's God or an entity that's doing that, or whether it's angels, or whatever your belief is about what's happening above this, outside this level of density that we call physical matter. When you're ready to make the choice to say, okay, cool, it looks pretty crap from this angle, but I can't see everything, then that, I believe, brings you into a timeline or a trajectory of experience that allows that to be the case. Because the fact of the matter is that time, as we perceive it here at this level of density, is just a collective agreement based around numbers moving on a screen.
Yeah.
Or around, because we don't use natural time here. We don't. No. That's why we've got 365 quarter days. They need leap years, and they need to move the clocks back and forward. Yeah. Because we're not moving with natural time. We're not on a lunar calendar. We're not moving with the stars of the system. We're moving with these other things. That's why the new moon isn't the same every month, because we're not working with that. So when we step away from the story of time and move into the truth of what time is as we call it, actually, it really doesn't exist. What we have is a series of snapshots that we move in and out of. And every time we step into one, we have the opportunity to tap into an infinite number of possibilities about where we go to next. But at a subconscious level, that Speedy Gonzalez that's happening back there, that's running all of the programs, because that's its job, not because it's our enemy, because that's its job.
100%.
It's selecting from those infinite possibilities
Yeah.
based on the blueprint that we fed it, based on what we've communicated to it about what we've allowed, invited, accepted, or not changed. We don't have the excuse of it happened to me as a child. You're grown up now, you have a choice. And in this space of choice, you can speak to that part of yourself and say, do you know what? I know that we've been working with dysfunctional, toxic relationships for the last 20 something years, but I'm not really feeling that anymore.
It's time for a new story, honey.
I'd like to look at this page on the script. Scene 4, line 27. Can I not make the same choice? And I'd like to not get drunk.
Can we do something different?
Let's change that story. Thank you very much. We can do that. But it's all happening on expectation. Literally, our world is responding to our expectations about what's going to happen based on the blueprint of what we're projecting out as an expectation. And we have the opportunity to change that. And if in that space of expectation, we say, do you know what? Rather than expecting this story to end in a way that doesn't serve me, I'm going to allow this period of pain to inform me that there's space for change, to call my attention back to the present moment, or even just to trust and surrender that, you know what? Yeah, cool. This expression of pain and discomfort in this form has happened this way because that's what I expected up till now. But going forward, I don't really want to experience it that way. I'd like not to have another disastrous relationship in order to learn self-love. Yeah. I'd like to have...
That would be good.
Maybe a cheeky soulmate, maybe. That'd be nice. But we have that sovereignty. We do have it. But in order to step into that, it requires us to own where we're at now. To own that, okay, cool, I've created up to this experience. Because I can't say I create the future, but disown or disconnect from the fact that I've created the present.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work. I'm responsible for all of that. This one is my mum's fault. Yep, mum, you've got that one. But I've got this one. Thank you, Jesus. Like it doesn't work.
No. But isn't there an incredible amount of empowerment in making that choice, in making that decision, in making that decision to do things differently? In taking responsibility, there's empowerment. In taking responsibility for having things be differently, having things be different in the future, regardless of what's happened in the past, regardless of the life experience and the circumstances you were born into. To choose to take responsibility for where your life goes. That is empowerment, because you're saying, okay, that happened, wasn't great, but I'm going to choose to do something different. And whether or not you know how to do that differently is irrelevant, because there's somebody out there that does. Whether or not you know who you're going to find, you will find somebody who will be able to support you in making those changes. Whether you're not, you know how to communicate with your unconscious mind, you can find somebody who can teach you how to do that so that you can make those changes. So it's that first initial step, really, and that's something that is really pinnacle in terms of the work that I teach, is being at cause, taking responsibility for how your life moves forward, regardless of the life experiences that you've had. You are here now in this time space reality. In this moment, it's you, and it's on you to make a decision about whether or not your life changes and goes down path B as opposed to path A, which it's been going down for however long you've been alive on this planet. So what, you're at a crossroads. What road are you going to take? You're going to continue down the path of pain and the path of not having things work out the way you want, the path of toxic relationships, or are you going to start taking responsibility and become empowered and be at cause for your life, and be at cause for, because that's where you'll get the learnings. If you start to take responsibility, that's where you'll understand and start to learn, okay, so that happened, what do I need to learn, and how can I make different choices in the future for me about how my life is going to be different, rather than just going down the same pre-programmed, pre-planned path that takes you to pain. And it's good in a way. It is good that path A is there, because if it's taking you to pain constantly, at some point you're going to hit a point, hopefully fingers crossed, at some point you're going to hit enough pain, and you're going to be like, do you know what, I'm done. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom.
Check, please.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm out. What else is there? What else is there for me in this time-space reality, so that I can do and experience and have a different experience of this time-space reality, so that I don't have to live the rest of my relationships, the rest of my life in this amount of dysfunctional pain, because it's not. So it's serving me to a degree that it's going to move me. And now I've decided that I want to move. So where can I move to? And how can I learn to do things differently? Get support. Hire somebody to help you, whatever the case may be. You don't have to do it on your own. And I think that that's an important message for people to understand and to take away, is that people think that they have to know it all. They have to know how to do everything. They have to know how to make all of these changes that they've wanted to make. They don't. They just need to be willing to invest in themselves and be willing to step into the pain and be willing to do the work and make the changes. And they will, if they do those things. Right.
I wanted to ask you something else, but I don't really want to. Oh, no, because it's a complete conversation switch. But I'm going to save that for another conversation. Okay. I'm going to bring you back for another conversation.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the plant medicine stuff, because I'm collecting everybody's opinion on that.
Okay.
But I think that's a real. That was just a yummy. There's a stillness that comes off the back of what you just shared. Okay. And I think if people are ready to sit with that stillness, ready to own that up until now, the experiences that they have been having have been based solely on the amount of agency that they've been prepared to accept in their life, and the choices that they've made against the backdrop of whatever sovereignty and agency they've accepted. Go.
Can I just add?
Yes.
And those choices are both conscious and unconscious.
Yes.
And that is an important distinction to make, because it's not about making people feel that they're guilty or that they're, to blame for what. It's about the unconscious, both the combination of your unconscious and your conscious choices have put you where you are today. Sorry, as you were, Soldier.
No. That's a great one to add, because sometimes we get so caught in the guilt and in the shame that actually that becomes the trap that stops us moving into change, because 100%. That becomes a story that holds us captive to the BS existent, or the BS pages in the script that we're not changing. I would ask the director to change that line, but I deserve it because of blah, 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 right? And so, understanding the conscious and the unconscious, and understanding that it's the combination of the two that leads to the outcomes, and understanding that they can work with magicians such as yourself to get that input into the unconscious and have those conversations that facilitate change, even at that level of mind.
100%.
So there is no excuse.
There's no excuse. Well, you can either have reasons or results.
Say that again. Say that word again.
For the people in the back, you can either have reasons or results. You can't have both. You can have reasons and excuses for why your life's been the way that it's been, and why it's going to continue being the way that it's going to continue being. Or you can get results, which is where empowerment is, which is where taking responsibility lies, which is where taking responsibility for having it be different. Because when you get to the ripe old age of 102, or however old it is that you've decided you're going to live to, and you have this bunch of reasons as to why your life didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, will that be satisfying? Will that give you enough validation for not having had the life that you wanted? Or would you at that point rather reverse time back to an age around wherever it is that people listening to are at now, and having made a different choice, then go out to 102, having had their life be the way that they wanted it to be? Which of those two paths are going to be more satisfying?
Reasons or results?
You can either have reasons or results. You can't have both.
You can't have both.
You can't have excuses and get results. You can either get results and do whatever it takes, or you can keep your reasons and excuses. The choice is up to, the choice is yours.
Choice is yours. How can the people connect with you? Central Point, guys, check out the YouTube, check out the Instadoodle, jump on the newsletter. I'm not on the newsletter, which I'm ashamed of. So I need to remedy that today. So we need to remedy
that.
that.
We will sort that out.
We'll sort it out. How can the good people connect with you?
So the good people can connect with me. I hang out mostly on Instagram. And my handle, I don't know whether
I'm going to pop it in the show notes.
You pop it in the show notes. So it's Ayodele Okolade. And my YouTube, if you Google my name, you'll find it. And I guess if people want to find out more about the work that I do and the transformational stuff that they can get involved in, then my website is ayodeleokolade.com. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. It's been an absolute joy.
We're doing this again because I want to speak about plant medicine. I want to speak about what happens when people work with us for a little bit.
Okay.
And where we are in the process, like, of change and some other groovy stuff. More like stuff's come up.
Awesome.
We'll do this.
Awesome.
We'll do this again. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Be sure to go and hang out with my homie, my fellow Brit. Even people in the back, we didn't forget you. Head over to dreamwithdan.com. Head out to dreamwithdan.com. Be sure to check out the Facebook group at dreamwithdan.com/Facebook, where we're hanging out and talking about empowering you to deliberately choose the abundant and joyful, purpose-driven life. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you today, talking about all things mind and spirit and stuff. And
it's just a joy, an absolute joy. Thank you for having me.
Results. That's my takeaway for today. What did you take away from today? Join the conversation over on Facebook. We'd love to hear about it. And be sure, as I said, to go and hang out with my homie here on Instadoodle, because that's where you're at all the time. And check out the YouTube channel. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you today. Keep dreaming with your eyes open, and see you next time.